thank you for joining us, Romain, and with SATO. Did I say that right? SATO?
Correct. Yep.
All right,
SATO,
perfect.
Satoshi Nakamoto. Yep.
Yeah, perfect. So,
is it an acronym for something? Does it stand for anything?
I figured Satoshi or something, right? It's spin off Satoshi.
Exactly. Yeah, Satoshi.
Okay.
Yeah. It's when we I got the same thing. I have a liquid death
there
too.
you go.
But I realized that I can't really drink that on a podcast because people would think it's beers.
That's the cool part about it, man.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah. It's true. But if people don't know, they're like, oh, who's this guy who's drinking alcohol at work?
It's genius marketing, man. I think that was one of the coolest marketing.
I love
moves
it.
by
Yeah.
them, yeah. Mine, unfortunately,
They are
is a
sponsoring
regular
lots
bottle
of.
water.
They were sponsoring the event from Pomp in New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They were. I mean, I'm not sure they were sponsoring. They had a booth.
Oh,
and they were giving out lots of liquid death to everyone.
I'm gonna hit up. I'm gonna hit up Liquid Death. We need a Liquid Death sponsor. All I want to do is be paid. In liquid deaths.
Yeah,
do it.
I just want cases and cases. We have a good assortment. We keep the fridge stocks with Liquid Death around here. This is like the only water that I drink now.
We want a sponsorship from them and Uchi.
And Uchi, yes. So just give us all the sushi.
Yeah, Uchi. All we want is like a free meal a month. That's all we're asking for.
Yeah, we're just trying to get fed around here.
Yeah, we just want to eat and drink. Money. That's it. We don't need nothing else.
Yeah, I'm already there.
So, Romain, what part of the world are you in?
New York City.
You're in New York City. Okay. And where are you from originally?
How about you? France.
Okay. Nice.
France.
We're in Houston.
Why? Do I have an accent?
No. You sound like a New Yorker.
No. Okay, good. yeah. South Brooklyn.
Yeah, South Brooklyn. Yeah, that's what I was going with. That's what I thought it was. Yeah, we're in Houston.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. I was at your conference.
That's right.
Not a long time ago. I really liked it. Yeah, it was an amazing conference. Lots of good contact. The right size. My first time in Houston too, so it was
really
it was a good time.
What was your takeaway first time in Houston? And you don't have to tell me it's amazing because trust me, there's a lot of other better places than Houston. But what was your honest review of Houston for the period of time that you were here?
So it would be difficult to give you an extended review because I really stayed like only 3 days, and when I go to conference, I mean, I don't want to say like I've been there, done that, but I mainly go for the conference, and I don't really do lots of tourist stuff. But it was a very nice city, interesting city. I love the architecture. I thought it would be way hotter than that. For me, it was like Mexico type of weather, and it was not that hot, so it was interesting.
Oh, you came in March though, huh?
But Come next month when it's like 114.
You come in May, late May, June, July. If you're real brave, you can come in August, and I'm pretty sure you'll change your mind.
No. But I think I was also staying in the city center, the business center, not too far from the conference. So it was not like super heavy with people in the streets. Not like in New York or on Times Square, all this kind of stuff, but very cool. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. I'm still trying to figure out what outdoor stuff I can do around Houston. There's just not a ton, man.
You know where I went this past week? I've been to Memorial Park, but I went exploring Memorial Park. I got a truck now.
Yeah,
did the bike in the back.
Right.
No exploring. Turns out there's a lot of dedicated paths that are not for bikers, and you can get fined.
Oh, really?
If you ride your bike on walking paths.
You just found that out?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get a fine, but people were threatening.
Oh, really?
Saying, you better get off my path. You're going to get fined.
See, that doesn't...
you got to follow the rules.
You got to follow the rules, man. That doesn't bode
There's
well
outdoor... So actually, I'm downloading an app. There's a trail app you can download for walking, hiking, camping.
For Houston?
Yeah, it's everywhere.
How many is there?
There's a lot.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's low-key a lot.
You just I'm going to have to check it out, man. It's just, I live, so far away.
You're actually very close to San Houston National Park.
That's where I'm going to start going more.
That's where you need to go.
Yeah, there's some good stuff up there and go kayaking and all that. But,
so Bitcoin.
Yeah, sorry. We're way off already.
What? What is this?
We don't know. We don't know anything about this Bitcoin stuff.
Yeah, and if you think you know, you don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So you guys, public miner. How long have you guys been around?
Correct. We started in 2017 and listed in 2021.
Okay.
How big have you guys got now? What's your kind of
So we have 20 megawatt. We have 20 megawatt of energy. That's close to 0.6 exahash of power, of mining power, and on average, if you compare with the total hash rate, that's 0.1% of the hash rate. So it means that we're getting 0.1% of the block reward plus the fees.
Okay. So
and we're trying to increase that.
Yeah.
We went from 2 megawatt to 20 megawatt. Now it's our turn to really go to the next level, and how can we add more computers? How can we be more efficient, bigger? In the industry, it's all about being efficient. And once you're efficient, it's all about getting big.
Right.
We started by showing our efficiency, and now we're really working into getting bigger in various ways.
And you guys are mainly off hydro, correct?
Yeah. I mean, we are on the Quebec grid in Canada. And the Quebec grid is provided by only one provider called Hydro-Quebec. And the grid in Quebec is 97% hydro, and the rest is solar, wind, and biomass. So it's a very green and very renewable, 100% renewable energy. But more important than the provenance, for me, it's a very stable energy. It's an energy that is perfect for mining. And on top of it, it's very well priced. We pay around 4.3 cents US a kilowatt hour, which is one of the best prices you can find for energy. As you know, for Bitcoin miners, 75% of our costs are electrical. And it's very, very important to have a low price of electricity, but it's not enough. You need to have an energy that is stable and the data centers that is efficient, miners that are efficient. But if at the beginning you don't have a low price point for your energy, you're going to be in trouble. Because the difference for a Bitcoin miner between paying 4 cents or 7 cents is a lot.
Yeah, that is very true. So the halving obviously just occurred, and I know we were going to get in this.
You mean the doubling?
The doubling, yeah. So that turned out to be, I mean, obviously it was a very short period of time, but I think the miners are eating through those transaction fees pretty fast, pretty quickly. Can you explain what happened though? I mean, everybody that listens probably understands the halving. Basically, the halving was that the amount of production of Bitcoin created on a daily basis is cut in half, so your block reward is cut in half, and theoretically your revenue is going to drop in half, at least for the time being, until we get some price appreciation or difficulty drop. That is not how it played out. So can you kind of help us understand?
Yeah, I mean,
what
first
happened?
of all, I'm sorry. Yeah, sure. So first of all, just on the block reward, our revenues has not really changed or has not really dropped. What has dropped is the block reward in Bitcoin.
Right.
And because our accountability, our revenues are in fiat, depending on the price of the Bitcoin, it doesn't mean that we will automatically make twice less money. It's not the case. The second thing that is really important to keep in mind in this halving thing is that the halving has no impact on the fees. And most of the people are really focusing on the reward of the block from 625 to 312 today, or 900 Bitcoin a day, 450 a day post halving. But as you know, Bitcoin miners, we also make money from the fees that are coming from the transaction happening on the Bitcoin layer 1. And what happened is that since 2022, we are seeing this fee increasing. And as it should be, this is part of the strategy of Satoshi Nakamoto at the beginning. Miners will exist only and only with fees after 2042, I think. So we still have time. But it's really like we are going into a market where the fees are going to increase more and more, and even more if you compare with the block reward. So if you look at data points that I think are interesting, about the fees in 2022, there was 5,000 Bitcoin all around for the fees during the year. So 5,000 Bitcoins that all of the Bitcoin miners, again, share depending on the hash rate. In 2023, we went to 20,000 Bitcoin for the fees. That's a 4x. 4x, right. It's pretty a big increase. Right. And what we think and what I think is that we will continue seeing this kind of increase in 2024. So far, we've seen the first fees being pretty substantial before the halving, but at halving day, we had a surge of fees. It's coming from a technology or protocol that was released at the halving block, so on block 840,000, called Runes. And Runes, it's a
RUNNES, right?
Wait, so there's an entirely
RUNES.
There's a new protocol that dropped?
Well, it was
not dropped.
So he obviously knows this way better than we do.
I saw everybody on Twitter talking
go
about it.
Go ahead if you want.
No, you got this. You're doing away. I'm just listening, but yeah. So I'm trying to just make sure everybody understands because your Brooklyn accent will covered it up. Yeah, go ahead. That's all right.
So to come back to the origin of Runes, it started with ordinals. Ordinals started with a guy called Casey Rodarmont, and he had this theory of putting a numbers of every SAT, and by this new type of thinking, we were able to also inscribe, which was also happening before that date, but we were able to inscribe on specific SATs some piece of art, JPEG, text, sounds, whatever, you name it. And it was interesting because it brought a new blend of developers, of intelligence building on top of Bitcoin. And from the ordinals, we have seen something called BRC20. And BRC20 were a first fungible token that was based on Bitcoin, but the implementation was not super efficient. And that's why we've seen a surge of fees back in March of last month, or in a few blocks last year. We've seen a big surge of fees, with fees surpassing the reward. So we had blocks where we were making 7 Bitcoin per block, with a block reward of 6. So it's unusual. Usually you see the Bitcoin, the fees are lower than the reward. But now that we had the halving, I think it's going to change. So anyways, this BRC20 type of protocol, coins, token, fungible token, the creator of the theory of the ordinal, Casey, decided to do another implementation called Runes, RUNES, and he decided, and he announced it, that it would be launching at the same time than the block 840,000, so the block of the halving. And by doing so, he said, okay, I'm going to create 10 coins, or a few coins, and everyone will be able to start minting their own coin. You can really do any kind of coins you want. It's more like DeFi or meme coins, if you will, on Bitcoin. What happened is that people who wanted to do that and participate to buying the first coins that were released at the same time that the block of the halving, they made sure that their transaction could pass. And how do you make sure a transaction could pass? You increase the fees. So that's what happened, and it happened to a level we have never seen before. The block of the halving, guess how much Bitcoin we got for the fees? 37.
I was going to say 40, I thought.
37.
37. That's crazy.
For a 10 minutes block.
Right.
It went down a little bit, but it continued a few blocks. We've seen then 26, 22, etc. Now, I think I looked at it this morning, it's on like 1.8, 2.2 Bitcoin per block. But it's interesting because it's a trend that we're seeing, where the fees are going higher and higher and higher, up to where they will match automatically. It's mathematical, the reward. And I think in 2024, we will see fees being way more important into miners' revenues like us, because it's magical for us, because in a sense, we don't need more computers. We don't need more energy. We just make more Bitcoin.
Right.
At the same time, we need to be cautious, because a network with high fee is not great.
Right.
It's difficult to onboard more people on Bitcoin. It's difficult for someone who would like to create a new transaction on a Lightning, for example, to be onboarded on Bitcoin. We've seen the negative effect on I don't know if you remember, on Solana, on Ethereum, when the fees were like increasing like way too much. It was a congestion for the blockchain. We have not seen that for Bitcoin. This is also the beauty of Bitcoin. The layer 1 is working perfectly since 2009, no glitch. What it just means, the block size is becoming more and more expensive.
So do you see, do you see a problem with that over time? Like, if the more miners come on, does that keep that fee down some?
We share more, as if people plug their computer, more computers, we will share the piece of the cake, or we'll share the cake.
But it won't necessarily keep the transaction fees down. It's just that
no,
like if it costs 37,
no, because
it costs 37. It's just divvied up more, just like
the limitation is in the block size.
Yeah.
This is the limitation, and you can put 10,000 more miners or 10,000 more mining power. It would still, the limitations will still be the block size.
It's still just basically going to be based off like a supply and demand, like what people are willing to pay for that block space.
Exactly. But it also means, I believe, that we will see more and more L2s at time of development. And I think this is really interesting, because this block size being limited in size and becoming more and more expensive, people will find ways and try to find ways to do business, do whatever they want on Bitcoin, but on a layer 2, which still need to be linked to a layer 1, because you need to open a channel first, and you need to close the channel if you want to move from L1 to L2. There is at least 2 transactions.
Right.
But what happened in the L2s, I think, is where we will see lots of transactions, and it's quite exciting because it's based on Bitcoin. We're really building on Bitcoin, and we as a Bitcoin miner, we are also working a lot into developing solutions for these L2s in general, or building on Bitcoin, because we see this as being a way to get more fees. We're thinking about the next halving, the one coming in 4 years, and the one coming in 8 years. And we're like, okay, how do we exist not only by growing our mining power, but also by developing more ways for people to use Bitcoin, and in that sense, get more fees from the usage they make.
Right.
So do miners make money on layer 2?
They still would, right? Wouldn't they?
If you run your layer 2, and this is why you've seen a few Bitcoin miners like Marathon, for example, this who announced releasing a new layer 2 solution. We will make money, all of the Bitcoin miner will make money when there is a transaction from L1 to L2, because it's inscribing into the L1 network. But whatever happened in the L2 will be off-chain. I mean, separate. We won't see anything from this, except if we run the L2 and or if we host the L2. So I think it's really going to bring more revenues, new things that we don't really know about today. But this is a really interesting time to be building on Bitcoin.
Well, how do you factor this in? Like, and you guys being public, I'd be interested, but from a modeling perspective, like when you model out your econs on a potential project, how do you factor in these transaction fees, especially if you think they're going to become more and more valuable over time?
Well, what we do is that we are looking at the past to see the trend of what could be the future fees of the blocks that we'll get, and every month we do a reconciliation between what we thought it would be and what it is. So far, it's been more than what we planned, and I think this is why we are seeing also that the public Bitcoin miners are going back up into the favor of shareholders. For the past few months, we were a little bit less of the darling since the release of the ETF, also because the halving was coming, so lots of investors were like, okay, let's wait and see. But now they see, and they see that not only we continue mining, but on top of that, we are making even more money than before because of the fees. So it's in order to factor it for the future, what I've learned anyway about the business in general, the only way to succeed for me, in my mind, for a Bitcoin miner, is to focus on your efficiency and of the cost of the production of your Bitcoin. The price of the Bitcoin, the difficulty, the price of the rigs are so volatile that whatever you plan, in 2 hours' time, it could change from A to Z. So focus on extracting the most Bitcoin from the same energy and from the same computing power than you have. The efficiency, is not only about the electricity price, it's also about how you're running your miners, in what kind of data centers you're running them, what kind of software do you do to make sure that they are always online, how do you manage your energy to make sure that it's well distributed into your centers. You have lots of course, your miners in itself, the newest rigs. You have lots of things to work on to be efficient. And I thought it was really the only. Also because for like a few years I was like spending my days doing like Excel sheets and models and everything. I don't say we don't do it anymore. We still do a projection and budget, and we have a long-term vision. But at the end, the volatility of the market, I've never seen that in all of my life as an entrepreneur. This is really the first time that everything can be changed in a few minutes, or few hours, or few days.
So I take it from this initial part of our conversation that you are a fan of the ordinals and using Bitcoin blockchain or the Bitcoin network. We're not big on the blockchain stuff, but using Bitcoin to basically, I don't know, as like a marketplace, like some of the other coins out there did. So ordinals, things like that. Am I correct in that assumption that you're big on that? You're a proponent for it?
Yes, we are. Yes, that's correct. I understand there is a debate in the industry between the Bitcoin maxis and people who are more fans and pro ordinals. Look, again, I think we need to be cautious. We need to be cautious, but the L1 and the Bitcoin blockchain is strong. And it has been proven that whatever has been done didn't really create any issues on Bitcoin so far. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to just ask you to maybe expand on it, because I'll be honest, I don't really understand the debate. Like, I'm kind of a guy who, like, I don't like, I'm a maxi in that I think Bitcoin is like the end all be all for us from a societal standpoint, and the best form of money that I think we have ever seen. And I would describe it as freedom money for people, but I also, from that aspect, I'm like, I don't think we should be limiting folks to the use of Bitcoin based on one group's decision of how it should be used. I think the whole purpose of it is like free and open, and you use it how you see fit, which I'm a proponent for. So I don't really understand what the issues with ordinals are and all that, but maybe it sounds like there might be a technical reason for that more than I'm privy to, I guess.
Well, I'm very in sync. I'm very in sync with what you said. I'm also a Bitcoin maxi in a sense that I really believe in Bitcoin. I believe in the end game of Bitcoin in our society as a human race, and where we're evolving in the digital world, in a world that is also less and less stable, I would say. And we are really long-term believer in Bitcoin. Now I'm like you also. I'm like, why stop it? And anyway, they can't stop it. Nobody can stop it. It's Bitcoin. This is about not only freedom money, but that's also freedom programming in a sense. Of course, we're limited by the beep of the improvement of the Bitcoin made by a community, open source, and that thing. It's great that it takes time. We're talking a lot about L2s and being able to do this and that, but also people needs to put in perspective the time it takes to do an upgrade from L1. However, anyone can push their own strategy or theory. And we've seen with ordinals, there was no improvement needed. I mean, we've been able to do it because of taproot and segue increase improvement. But now if we want to go further, like doing like some upcat, for example, type of like improvement, we will need to have a consensus from the community, not only from the developers, but it's also, people should remember that it's also a vote from the Bitcoin miner. So technically speaking, we could see Bitcoin miners trying to impose this, but I don't think it will, and it could happen because we are still very much distributed and decentralized. So it's really difficult for me to understand exactly why maxis and pure maxis are against it. I know you have a pool, for example, they are really against it, called Ocean. They are making sure that if you subscribe to the pool, you will not inscribe the JPEG or this, because this is the ordinal. The beauty of it is that you will inscribe the JPEG into the blockchain, into the Bitcoin blockchain layer 1. So it means that in 200 years, and I believe Bitcoin will still work in 200 years, you plug a node and you will be able to find back your image, which is a big difference with the NFTs. The NFTs, it's on Ethereum, it's a smart contract. And in the smart contract, if you read it, the image is a link toward either Amazon or IPFS. But who knows in 50 years what this website will be. And in 50 years, if you have your smart contract with a link, you will only have the link. With an ordinal, at least you have the image. So yes, the main idea of the reason why I think the maxis are against it is the use of the block space. And the argument, which are not bad arguments, I understand those arguments. The argument is, again, you can't onboard people to Bitcoin because it will make the fees increase. So it will slow down the adoption of Bitcoin. Could be more problematic in countries, developing countries who are basing their Bitcoin on their economy, where, like paying a $5 in fee at the end is a lot of money.
Right.
It could also slow down the network. Even so far, the network has not slowed down. I mean, it's like a clock, tick-tock, next block, as we say. I think also I think they have the image of the NFTs community.
I feel like that's got to be it more than anything, right? I feel like it's more of like an image thing, because I agree with both of you. I think people should be able to do whatever they want on Bitcoin, right, and use it however you want. Just like I don't care about NFTs, I don't particularly care about ordinals. I think it's really novel that they're doing it. I don't think that like art it's just my opinion, is like the best vehicle for that kind of technology. Like with NFTs, like I always thought it was going to be the mundane, the deed to your house, the title to your car, your driver's license. Like those are great NFT examples, like really, really boring things. But I think that this whole NFT experiment that's happened kind of in the pop culture sphere of the rise and the subsequent 99.99% went to pretty much zero. I could see how people in the Bitcoin community would be like, oh, ordinals is just NFTs 2.0. Once again, like to say that people can't use it for that goes against really the ethos of Bitcoin to begin with.
And I think it actually shows the utility of Bitcoin. Like, because that used to be the knock on it a lot. Well, it's not even that good. And it's like, it is whatever we want to use it for.
100%. Building on Bitcoin, bringing more ways for people to use Bitcoin. You can't imagine how many people I've seen coming from the NFT world coming to Bitcoin because of the ordinals. Yes, it's true, the same community, but you know what? If we want Bitcoin to really be Bitcoin, we will need to have people who are different than us and think different ways, different things. And
it's a great way to spread the gospel.
Yep. It's true.
Bring them to Satoshi.
You got to go to their level. You know what I mean? You got to go to their level. Shoot, I think Christ even said that, man.
I think he did say that.
You got to meet them where they're at.
He said you go where the non-Bitcoiners are and you bring them back to the Lord.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
That was his words. It's in red. I mean, so, all right, well, okay. I agree with you. And that is actually a great explanation. Now, I want to know kind of your backstory, because you're established. You guys have been doing this for a while. But what was your journey like to Bitcoin? Like, where'd you come from prior to the Bitcoin industry?
So I started in France in 1995. So I'm that old. I was 18 years old. So at that time, I just discovered or seen the internet for the first time when I was traveling to New York.
He's barely older than me.
That's
no wonder you're so sharp, man. We got some more gray hairs in here.
Exactly. But I was like, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to work on this. And with my brother, Matthew, we decided to start a company in France. Was a consulting company. So we were doing like a technology design consulting for brands back in 1995 on the internet, which was very early on in France. We sold the company in 1999. From there, we started another company doing digital distribution for games, a little bit like an iTunes. But instead of selling music, we are selling games. We made games on Facebook that were huge successes, and we created another company again with my brother. We made a huge game on iOS and on Android with more than 150 million downloads. That was a music game.
What game was it?
It was called Song Pop. So it was
Pop.
a music quiz. We had a huge spike of traffic because Zuckerberg said on his wall that it was one of his favorite games at that time. I'm talking like 2007 or 8 or 9. I don't remember.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
I have heard of people talk about that, and I've heard it's very lucrative. So congrats, man.
Yep. When you have this kind of audience, it works very well. We sold the company to Vivendi, which is a media group in France. But anyway, I came to the US 22 years ago in New York, and with my brother Matthew and also 2 other people who were living there at that time and very deep into the crypto community, we decided to start mining. It was 2017. We had no idea what it was. There is this meme that I really like. It says it's about entrepreneurship. It says we didn't start because we thought it was because it's easy, but because we thought it was easy. Yeah. And this is really what it is. You have no idea it's going to be difficult, but this is what it is to be an entrepreneur. You just jump out. And we've seen very quickly in 2017 that to succeed, we needed to have some scale. Because you want to buy electricity and energy at scale, because this is how you can lower the price. And also very quickly we saw that we needed to be extremely efficient into how we were managing our computers. So very, very early on we started working on everything that we could do to be more efficient. And it means that today we are operating ourselves. We have our own infrastructure. We are not relating on anyone to mine Bitcoin. This is the only way you need to succeed. The only way, the only way to succeed in Bitcoin mining. You need to, in my mind, have no intermediary between your power and the Bitcoin that you produce. Because if you do, in bull market, you don't really care, but in bear market with a halving, you really see it happening. So look, we started in 2017. We've seen crypto winters. We've seen a halving already. We've seen the up and down of the Bitcoin. We've seen COVID and the Bitcoin going back down to $3,000. We have always been able to continue going into the different phases of the cycle. In 2021, we decided to become a publicly listed company. We did a shell on the Canadian market. We are now listed on the TSXV under the ticker SATO, SATO. Same thing also in the US. We're listed on the OTCQB. And the reason why we wanted to be listed is because, as you know, being a Bitcoin miner, when you run your infrastructures and when you are self-mining like us, it's very CapEx intensive. Mm-hmm. We have 2 types of CapEx. One CapEx for our energy, our data centers, or from the energy to the data centers, the fans, the cooling. We developed our own software also to manage our fleet of miners, etc. And you have the CapEx for the rigs, the computers. And being a publicly listed miner in a bear market, it's very difficult. Mm-hmm. But in a bull market, I think it's very beneficial. And I think that in this, at least we have a Bitcoin cycle. I'm not saying that we have a cycle as a company, but there is a Bitcoin cycle, which is usually around 4 years. And we think we are at the beginning of this new Bitcoin cycle, and we really want to benefit it, to use it the same way as other Bitcoin miners who are listed on the Nasdaq today have been using it in the last time. So we think it's really at this time at this point in time that we can really start growing to where we would like to go.
I think what's interesting
is
there's not a whole lot of like public Bitcoin miners. I mean, you can pretty much like count them on, for the most part, 2 hands. What is no one talking about as it pertains to running a public Bitcoin mining company?
Well, I think, we have a few companies that are listed on Nasdaq, a few on the TSXV. You have now a Bitcoin miner, I think, listed in Abu Dhabi. What we see and what we do, which I think is interesting, is that the market is getting more and more professional. I think it's great that we have also lots of solo miner. It's also the decentralization of the network, and I'm 100% up for that. At the same time, what I think that is interesting about like the publicly Bitcoin miners like us is that we are bringing more professionalism into the industry, and we are showing to a legislator or municipalities or anyone who could be against Bitcoin that we can do the business the right way. When you look at us, and I'm not talking about only us, it's most and all of the Bitcoin miners who are publicly listed. We don't have any issue of noise. We are running our data center the right way. We pay our taxes. Everything is clear and open, and I think it's a benefit for the industry. So as a CEO, it's really about communicating this kind of project. And when you look, for example, at the local level, you really see how important it is for a Bitcoin miner to exist into a municipality or an electrical grid. Because as you know, we can stabilize the grid, we can curtail, we are bringing more revenues from energy that was wasted before, we have employment from regions that are usually not really in the city center. We have a lot of contractors, external contractors that works for us, electricians, constructors, you name it. We reuse our heat. We make sure we don't make any extra sound. All of these kind of things, it's really going and going and going. And I think it's really the best thing that we can show to our partners. And you guys know it even better. I mean, you're an energy maker from Houston. So being able to really use this energy and being efficient, I think for me is the key. And it's not only the key for Bitcoin mining, but it's the key for every type of computing power in the future. We need more computing power. I mean, I'm not in the side of people who wants to slow down. I think we need to continue growing as a human race, and we will need more computing power, but we can do it better.
What is your guys' next kind of phase, I guess? What kind of sites are you looking for? And I guess you try to stay pretty disciplined and focused on like renewables, or I guess what's your guys' thesis on it?
Well, my thesis, first of all, is forward-looking statement, and it's with something where I would have all of the money in the world. We don't have all the money in the world. But if I had all of the money in the world, what I would do in this next 3 to 4 years is that I would build in 3 phases. The first phase would be the long term, the 28, 36 months. For this, what I would do is that I would develop one big center, 200 megawatts, 500 megawatts, 1 gigawatt. For us, it's a linear business. We just buy more transformers and buy more substation. But by doing this, you sign a PPA with high voltage energy. By doing this, you can lower your price per kilowatt hour, 1.5, 2 cents a kilowatt hour, but it costs more money because you need to transform this energy yourself, substation, transformers, and it takes time. It will take 18 months, 12 months to receive the everything, another like a few months to integrate it. But at the end, at least, you start investing a little bit today because the PPA you will need to give advance, you will need to give advance also for your substation, etc. But that's for you build for the end of this 3 or 4 years. The second step that I would do is in the middle time, I would like 8 to 15 months. I would find local sites, mainly in the US, 20 megawatt, 50 megawatt, something that is already working. Either we can do acquisition and acquire companies, or we can set up very, very quickly if the energy is already transformed, at least to medium voltage, because it's quicker, it's faster, it's cheaper. This is and in that step, what we would do is to have the very same approach than we had in Quebec, in where we are, convincing the municipality or the energy provider of all the benefits we can bring by working people like us. This is what I explained a few minutes earlier. And the third phase, which is really at this time, is how do we increase our hash rate? We need to increase our hash rate. We're extremely efficient. It's just buying more computing power. We know how, we know when, we know with who. So it's just about like being able to find the right way to do it. So that's really the game plan for the growth in terms of energy. And we would do it, and we would like to do it with two things or three things. Two main things are the data center, of course, or Bitcoin. We want to continue doing Bitcoin. We love Bitcoin. We will grow as soon as big as we can, but we would like also to integrate AI and HPC into the mix. It's something that is more common now with Bitcoin miners. You've seen lots of strategies being developed, and even like successes being shown by different kind of companies in order to integrate AI and HPC into the mix. I believe it makes sense for people like us because, again, we are transforming energy into computing power. So yes, for AI and HPC, it's a different type of data centers. You will not host your GPUs in the same rack that you will use S21, for example. Mm-hmm. But it's not something that is impossible for us to do. And I even believe that we Bitcoin miner, by mixing the two together, we will probably be able to be even better or find different kind of sites than the hyperscalers such as Microsoft or Facebook or Google are trying to find today. So I think that's one part that is interesting for our business. It also gives a few benefits for us because it gives you a business that is not related to the price of the Bitcoin. There is no halving, there is no volatility in AI and HPC. You have also more difficulties because you need to find clients, running clients, data centers are not the same, you need to have high bandwidth, etc. But nothing that we don't do, and actually miners have proven already that they could do it. So we are looking into doing this in this period of time. And we're also looking and developing a lot, building on Bitcoin. We want to find more ways again for people to use Bitcoin. We've done a lot of research and development on the Lightning Network, on different kind of L2s. We developed application for ordinals. We have actually an application on iOS and Android Taproot wallet for storing your ordinals. We developed a software, open source, that you can get on GitHub for people to extract rare sats if they have any on their wallet. So, for example, if you have some exotic or rare sats in your Bitcoin address, you need to know, because if you don't, and if you do a transaction with Bitcoin, you can send them. So with this software, you can find out if you have any rare sats, and if you have some, you can extract them into another wallet of your choice. It's not something we do. We don't touch your Bitcoin. It's completely non-custodial. We don't even track your IP address. We don't want to know your IP address. It's a tool that you run yourself. We have a platform for people to do inscription. We inscribed a collection from a Japanese artist called Takeru Amano. That was interesting to do. And the idea behind this right now, when you do development like this, you never know what you're going to find, and you never know how big you're going to get. Mm-hmm. It could also never happen. It's the difference between mining Bitcoin. At least when I plug a computer, I know I'm going to make Bitcoin. With this thing, it's more like, okay, how can we build for the future? So that's also how with these things. And by working on the ordinals for us, it was a way to put our hands more clearly, more in the deep into everything. How do we build a transaction? How do we manage a UTXO the right way? How do we bring more efficiency into this kind of transaction? And that's what is motivating us. It's not only the efficiency on the Bitcoin mining data centers that we are running, but also in the use of Bitcoin as a development tool. And when you look at it, to come back on the ordinal subject, this is really what happened, because at the beginning, the ordinals, they were taking more block space, but then someone came with a new technology called recursive, for example. And recursive is a way for people to inscribe only traits from a collection, and then these traits can be reconstructed after. So you lower your cost, you lower your block size. And that's all of these kind of things that is happening on Bitcoin that was not happening before. And that's why we are rejoicing to be seeing that. And that's also why we wanted to be part of the bandwagon, I would say.
Do you know Charlie Spears?
Yes, of course. Okay, yeah. Former from Luxor. He's super smart. He knows a ton about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do need to get Charlie on here. He's
Maybe,
such a cool guy
maybe
too.
turn me into a believer on ordinals.
I'm I have nothing against them at all. I'm like, I know some people don't like it. I think it's great, and I think anything that helps combat negative statements against Bitcoin, I'm all for. So,
and one thing that I also kind of like dislike in a way is that the kind of arguments people who are against ordinal are bringing into the world are also very much what we are fighting for against Bitcoin.
Right. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
This is counterintuitive against philosophically. It's like, wait, what are you talking about? We're all about freedom, but then you're trying to restrict usage for other people because you don't like it. It's like,
and they can't. But it was also the same thing for me back in the days in the internet world. People were fighting the internet the same way than they were fighting Bitcoin.
Right.
It's never going to work. It's for a terrorist and a child abuser.
Right.
It's really the same narrative, and after some time it stops, and it's just happening. But also, I mean, the more developer we have coming on Bitcoin, the best it is. It's really like we're gonna get I think usage based on Bitcoins are going to go to the roof. I think in this cycle it's really going to be about L2s and all of these kind of things for the next course of Bitcoin. It's really exciting.
Romain,
also I would add one thing.
Really good, man. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Good.
No, I would add one thing that is also important is I think about ordinals that maxis tend to forget sometimes, that it's not only about art or JPEG. It's about community, because when you buy a Wizard, for example, or a Quantum Cat, or a Pizza Ninja, you belong into a community of people who are thinking the same, liking the same things, and you just log in a way with your ordinal. It's your proof of belonging.
It's like the ultimate Reddit.
Yeah, it's like
exactly.
There needs to be like a Bitcoin like dating site, right?
Oh yeah, there should be.
Bitcoin dating site?
Yeah, it's where like it's like where Bitcoiners like date. You know, it's like if that's like 40 your personality, like it is with us.
I mean, this is totally a joke. What I'm going to say, I'm just going to. There's only like 8 girls in the entire community. Total joke. We need more women in the space, though.
We do need more women.
Yeah.
I love the conferences. They're total sausage fest.
Well, you should have come to the parties organized by the ordinal people in New York during NFT New York.
Yeah.
You would not say that. There was like full of.
We're just going to the wrong event.
Yeah, we're going to the wrong events. Apparently, we're down here in Houston.
Man, this has been awesome.
Yeah,
for one, I mean,
really
I think you kind of being a developer, I think you brought a very like unique perspective to the conversation, but also you're the first like public minded that we've had on. So thanks for making the time, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Cool. Look, it was a pleasure. And if you have any questions, if you want to do any follow up, you know where to find me.
All right, awesome,
man.
Thank you, Romain.
Cool.
Catch you on the next episode.
Cool.